Well, very clever. I haven't seen anybody who can handle a ball like that. He should be in a professional team. I mean, it'd be very hard to get it off him. He could mislead and deceive, and nobody could get it off him. The ball seemed to be attached to his feet. It was just quite amazing to see. But he in actual fact is so clever with that ball, it'd be very hard to get it off him, as I say. And we have a similar sort of thing in our political world at the present moment, where we have been misled and deceived by our leaders in a very bad way in Britain and America. And we are in Afghanistan, although we've never had an attack from Afghanistan, according to one gentleman here who knows more about the war situation than I do, and he was on the BBC or was the Sky this morning sort of saying that since 9/11 there's never been an attack come from Afghanistan. And it reminds you, what's going on now. More and more of George Orwell, 1984. If you see that film, which is a miserable film in any event to see, but we did see it. I've seen it once, maybe twice. The second time by accident. But George Orwell, that film is so miserable, and what they were doing was with these men, or with these wars and everything, was keeping people's minds off the problems and what the politicians were doing. And it's perfectly obvious today that they can't wait to get out there and talk about this war, the Afghanistan war, because there have been some tragedies there. Forcing fire and water together. You've got the Islamics who hate us being there, and the first thing I heard of was a year or two back was where one sort of advisor was advising the Afghans or the opposition of where our troops were and what we were doing, and he was Islamic. And then, of course, now we've had another one who's whipped out a gun and shot 5 men. And never mind the ones that are injured, we haven't been told then. So let's say there's another 6 injured, that's 11 men altogether out of action, and 5 are dead, and that is disgusting. Then we've just had 13 in America and 30 injured, so that's 43 plus another 11, that's 54 people who were injured yesterday and killed. And how many? 18 were killed out of that 54. It is absolutely disgusting. And they do not have a strategy. As one man said, he said, training the police force is not a strategy. It's not an end. It is just a process that's going on. And the police force apparently have not been selected. They've just taken anybody off the street and put them in a uniform. So consequently, the Al-Qaeda have been able to infiltrate these forces, and you're going to get more of this sort of thing going on. Now, what are we going to do? Are we going to have gunmen behind our men all the time to protect them, drawn, just in case somebody pulls a gun? Is what the Americans and British are going to have to do? Or what about our so-called allies in Europe, who are not pulling their weight, and all of them said they're getting out because they've had enough? So maybe our flight east is wrong. As a matter of fact, the Bible says it's wrong as well. And we joined Europe, and the most terrible circumstances. They have ignored the British people. They have lied to us. I mean, in the Parliament, Blair said twice that we would have a referendum on Europe. And this is the first question when Mr. Blair will we have a referendum? He said yes. And then the next question was, Mr. Blair, I just want to get this straight, if all the nations of Europe turned down the constitution, would we get a referendum? And he said yes. Now that means that every nation in Europe turned it down, we'd still get a referendum. Straight after the election, he welched on that deal and said, oh, it's not necessary because the people of Holland and France have turned it down. And then what they did was they changed the name, shuffled a few, put clause A where clause C was and put C where A was, and they messed it up a bit and changed it around a bit and said, well, there's no national anthem and no flag. The flag and the national anthem are still being played and the flag is still there. It's called the Mary flag, incidentally, because the inspiration came from Mary. So you can understand where that's coming from. The 12 stars, while out there for 27 stars, there's only 12 stars because that's from the Mary flag. It's a Catholic Europe we're joining, 80%. It's really not for Protestants. And that's why Blair decided to become a Catholic, because he's an opportunist, and he realised he had no chance of even getting anywhere near the presidency unless he purported to be Catholic. So that's why he converted to Catholicism. Now it all comes clear, you see. And if you don't take note of these things, then we're very foolish. We've got to take note of what's going on here. And then, of course, Brown went along with this of calling it the treaty and said that wasn't a reason for a referendum because it changes nothing. Yet it does. I mean, this is what it's changed. This is what apparently this thing has changed. It's changed the following. the foreign policy, the criminal justice, the sovereignty of the nation, the labour laws, transport, defence and immigration, and asylum. Now, that is why I'm cross with the Conservatives, because they gave us a cast iron guarantee about a referendum. And, quite frankly, no such guarantee is there anymore. They said, oh, well, that won't happen again. There's nothing left. The horse is bolted. It's all there. They've given all these things over. It's like saying we can't oppose Hitler because he's got all those nasty aircraft and all those tanks and all that big army over there. We better just join him and be quiet. It's only a piece of paper at the present moment. That's all it is, a piece of paper. It's called a treaty. Treaties are broken all the time. We've broken many treaties in Britain. And if they say we haven't, well, that's a lie. And I just find that our leaders are lying all the time to us. It just goes on. And Oliver Cromwell had this problem as well with Parliament. And what he said is, it's high time for me to put an end to your sitting in this place, which you have dishonoured by your contempt of all virtue and contempt for our democracy, for our laws, for everything that we stand for our way of life, etc., and defiled by your practice of every vice. You're a factious crew and enemies of all good government. They've allowed people across the borders, like an invasion of millions. But while they've been doing this and saying, oh, we need these people, they've killed 5 million British babies through abortion. That is an abortion. I couldn't care. It's a godless law. Through state law, it's been allowed. You're a pack of mercenary wretches, he said, and would, like Esau, sell your country for mess of pottage. It was exactly what they've done. They've sold us down the line, and like Judas, betray your God for a few pieces of silver. That God is the few pieces of silver. Is there a single virtue now remaining amongst you? Is there one vice you do not possess? You have no more religion than my horse. And in those days it was required of being very bad not to have a belief. And we should take note of that, because look at the lies these people tell. A God-fearing man would not have lied like Brown and Blair did and the rest of these people, and they wouldn't have taken all this money and allowed Europe to have 95% of its budget missing according to the Euro auditors, not me. I'm just reporting it. He says, gold is your God. That is right. Which of you have not bartered your consciences for bribes? You are grown intolerably odious, and that's true. We want to get rid of them. The whole nation, to the whole nation, you were deputed here by the people to get the grievances redressed. We've had grievances and you haven't redressed them. Yes, of course. A lot of people like me, approximately 75% of the country, are very upset about Europe, and they would not redress them. Wouldn't even answer us when you phoned. And I've written in and they didn't get a reply. They didn't redress the grievances there. They just ignored us and sailed on doing this, never querying it in Parliament. Are yourselves gone? So, take away that shining bauble there and lock the doors, and in the name of God go. And that's what I say. We've got to vote for any other party other than Lib Lab Con. Any other party. I couldn't care who it is, because none of them have done anything like this crowd have done. They'll sleep at the switch regarding the economy. Brown looks all smarted, and I'm watching him now on TV making a speech about the non-Afghanistan what they call plan that they have. They don't have a plan. They have a plan to train the police. That's not a plan. That's not a strategy. He doesn't have a strategy. He's got a one-off plan. Talking about a one-off horse. We need to change these governments. We need to have a clean out of Parliament. We can't rely on one man anymore, so we've got to rely on ourselves. We've got to start using our heads instead of our gut. And if I was a Conservative, I must stop voting for Conservatives. And whatever you are, you must do the same. And start looking at it and make sense of the fact that although they scream and shout at other parties for various things, they in actual fact are far guiltier, and having given the banks 1.3 and now another 50 billion, 1.3 trillion plus a 50 billion. So yes, we must in actual fact change. Thank you very much.